Well, when you first come in, it takes you easy a year to figure this place out, to get used to it, to get your mind set for it. After that, it's just time blends together in here. You forget what day it is, you forget what date it is, you know, and that's all it is. It's just started off, my first ever crime was, I think it was about 12. I got arrested for stealing a packet of lighters out of Tesco's. And then as we go on, it just got worse and worse every time. Just young and dumb, you know what I mean? Everything out of perspective. We're just running about the streets, just as kids. Just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just one thing led to another. I mean, it started off with assault in place, and then it ended up with me being in here for a life sentence.
People might say on the outside, slap it up, they've got a right to say it. We are criminals, we do deserve everything we get. We don't deserve anything, any good things. You have to keep your mind ticking. If you sit and you wallow over your thoughts too much, it can be hard. We use drugs to cover it all up. That's why we take cocaine, to get rid of them, the demons in our head. Before I went and done anything, I'd have took a line of coke. Thought what I get rid of all the fear. That's what mainly drugs are used for. I mean, you're going to do a wee toucher, you're going to do a wee job, you're feeling a wee tingle in your stomach, now a line of coke. A couple lines of pure, and that gets rid of it. My daddy died before I was born in a flat fire. He was a soldier. My mummy, as I think about it, my was always drinking. She was never happy. Do you know what I mean? It's like we don't drink around Christmas. And someone says to me last week, why do you not drink around Christmas? Because I always remember waking up on Christmas morning, and not that you did have many toys, but the toys you had, you went to play with them, and my so-called mother coming down the stairs, to keep the noise down, I'm not well. It's not that she wasn't well, she had a hangover.
So tell me about school then. What do you recall from that?
I hated it. Every day I was getting in, I was getting kicked about the school, I was getting bullied, and I was getting this, that and the other, and don't get me wrong, it's made me the strong person I am now. There'd be nobody bullying me now, like. But no, all bad memories. Even if it wasn't my own cousins baiting me, it was the teachers baiting me and stuff like that. And very early went in. I worked on the stalls from a young age, you know, in Belfast City Centre. You know, I was always dodging school to go and do something else, hanging about with older people and stuff like that. And I think that's why I ended up a criminal lifestyle, you know what I mean? Get into selling drugs and stuff, and that seemed more appealing than what going to school and getting kicked around the playground was. Because I run about with older people, and you got more respect from them ones, do you know what I mean? Maybe it was you only got respect because they had you out selling their drugs or they had you out stealing, but back then it didn't matter. Just that wee bit of respect meant a hell of a lot.
Relax a wee bit more now, you know what I mean? We smoke and stuff. So I'll show the that's me pictures of my son up there, you know what I mean? That's him up there and stuff. That's pictures of my son. Keeps you happy, you know what I mean? A few pictures of your son in the cell keeps you happy, keeps you preoccupied. You know what I mean? Then you have your TV and stuff, my hi-fi. I mean, just whenever you get bored of TV, fire on the hi-fi and listen to a bit of music, you know what I mean? But after a good while, you get used to that there, you know what I mean? You do, you get used to being locked. So you do. You get used to it, being locked. The family breakdown was good, so it was, yeah. My mum and dad, and then they split and stuff, and then, you know what I mean? But life was good, you know, it was good. And then I started, well, obviously mooching school and stuff, and that's whenever I started getting into trouble. So it was, started from then. So it was. I started getting into trouble, and then I ended up going to High Bank for a fine. So I did, so then from High Bank on, then I started coming in and out of jail. So I did, in and out, you know what I mean? No point in lying, she was pretty worried the first time coming to prison. Second time, obviously, went to Magabry prison. Was a bit worried. The second time, nervous, stuff like that, you know what I mean? You're going into prison, you don't know who you're going to meet in prison. And then the third time, I was getting more comfortable with it. I was like, here, hold on, this isn't, you know what I mean? You adjust to prison. You adjust to prison life, so you do. I would be theft, drugs, supplying drugs, with attempt to supply Class A and Class B controlled drugs, more theft. It's mainly theft and drugs. That's what it's been, it's theft and drugs. Which is theft is like breaking into the old, like buildings, stealing scrap and stuff. That would have been all my theft crimes, you know, like. Got caught with coke one time, an ounce of coke, so I did. That was same thing with attempt. Well, no, it was supplying Class A drugs, so it was. It's all been drugs. Supplying drugs. That's been the story of my life, you know, supplying drugs.
Been coming in and out of jail 30 years. Hasn't been easy. It's okay when you're drinking, but then trouble starts. And when trouble starts, I can't handle it. So I would get myself into trouble because I'm out of control with the drink. As I lie here today, I'm in control. I wouldn't harm a hair in your head sober, but I'm not responsible for what I do when I'm drunk. I was very angry as a child, and I was very angry as a grown up. But I'm not angry anymore. I'm in control. I'm more in control of it, where I was out of control until I came in here.
Why were you angry?
I was angry at a lot of stuff that had happened in my life. and I wouldn't like to go into detail about it. And just a lot of stuff, a lot of horrible stuff that happened when I was young. And it led me to be the person that I am today. I don't want to be that person I was when I come through these doors. I just don't want to be that raving lunatic I was. But see, this place is being used for a mental institution as well. Because there's people in here shouldn't even be here. They should be in mental institutions. But at the end of the day, I have to face my demons. And they come up every now and again when the big green door's locked behind the big green door. Your head was flying off your shoulders when you've done the things that I've done. Like I have a record that would, my God, it would decorate this room. That's how bad it is. And that's nothing to be proud of. Nothing.
We know in Northern Ireland there would be a higher than usual incidence of mental health issues, and the prison population is really a reflection of what goes on in broader society. We know from looking at what we understand about the health status of individuals coming into custody, about 1 in 4 people will have a stated mental health issue. So that can be people dealing with issues of anxiety, up to very significant issues in terms of their mental health and whether or not they have a diagnosis in terms of mental health provision or indeed personality disorder.
Of course, the start point is it's not a problem for prisons, it's a problem for the wider community. And if that's in the wider community, prisons are very much at the end of the queue. And we are quite successful in the interventions that we do have. But there's more work that needs to be done for people who are violent and aggressive. And that's a challenge. But those people, those patients would be a challenge anywhere. And in a custodial environment is not a therapeutic place. And society and the inspectorates require us to do the very best that we can in difficult circumstances. And sometimes our best isn't good enough.
I've actually met a load of my mates in here. So I have, over my years in here. I was actually speaking to one yesterday, he's getting out tomorrow. He was actually one of my mates that I run about with outside. I haven't seen him in years. And then this is just like somewhere where everybody goes to meet. I went to a couple of different schools. Wasn't too bad in primary school, but secondary school it was a bit more of a tearaway, so it was. I went to Lower Hill, I just got expelled, so that, and then I went to Lisnagarvey, where I sort of calmed down a bit and finished off right through the 5th year. So I ended up, I actually got through all my years in school. Left for a couple of GCSEs and things I got there, but not much. Just messing about a bit too much. Just started off with wee stupid things, running about with mates, getting into trouble. Then as we got older and we all started drinking and all, it started getting more serious trouble.
So drink's been a big factor in your life?
Not a big factor in my life, but just a big factor in my criminal life. I'm not really a violent person, and when you throw a load of drinking, it's
Background was actually alright, you know, just grew up in a Protestant estate, you know. Got involved a wee bit with paramilitaries and stuff, you know. Family ways brought up was good, you know, it was always looked after, got what I want that way, but once you get involved with other boys and then you end up started the drugs trade and then all that there, and next minute you end up to prison, you know. See, it was always alright, no, and then I think it was when it came into the drugs was a big part of it. You know, it was alright smoking a wee bit of cannabis here and there and stuff. Now when I started taking them blues, they were just a nightmare for anybody. You end up going downhill right and quick on the MR. I was getting up in the morning and I was out there, I was getting a load of blues, 1,000 of them for very cheap money, you know. You were selling them, making a couple of quid back, plus the money you were getting was paying for the next bunch. And then the next minute you're sitting with 500-600 tablets. And I was eating them like Smarties. You were getting up 10 in the morning, then 2 hours later another 10, and a couple of hours later you were another 10, and you were forgetting you were even eating the first couple, and you were bagging another 10 then, another 10. It just faces circles. Then the next minute, because you were selling in the estate and doing things wrong, you were getting involved with paramilitaries, and then you were getting beatings and getting shot at, and those things like that there. I was walking home one night from my mate's house, and 2 cars pulled up and was just trailed into a car. There's nowhere I could go, you know, sitting in the back of a car, all really mask on. You didn't know who it was or that, and then tucked down to a glen. It's a wee place down beside us. It's all trees now. Just tucked out, trailed down there, told to get on my 2 knees with my 2 arms out, and then about a baseball bat, snapped both elbows, you know, left me lying there. Sometimes you're walking down, there's maybe 6 or 7 of them standing there, and you have nowhere to go. You have to walk into the middle of them, and you're getting digs from all over the place and boots to the face, and they're jumping all over you, and then the next minute, you know, you turn around and they're all gone. You're laying there busted open, blood everywhere.
And it didn't stop you?
Nah.
As far back as I can remember, I've always took drugs from a very, very, very young age. Sniffing glue, then went from the glue to cannabis, and it was great. That was, do you know what I mean? There was this drug where you smoked it and you just felt amazing. Just relaxed and chilled out, and then I started selling them. No, because it was always about making money. All right, you were talking to Dave and the Provies. Do you know what I mean? Because they didn't like drugs in their area, but you were always talking to Dave and the Provies because I was a hood. That's what we were classed as hoods, because we were out stealing and doing bits and pieces. But then once you found the coke and all, you grew a set of clinkers, as they call it. Do you know what I mean? Before it was all about relaxing and forgetting about your problems, and take a line of coke and you're ready to take the world on. And once you get into it, like, why would you go back to being that scared wee boy when you can take a wee line of something and the world's your oyster? And then you start taking more, and then you realise, geez, I gotta get money for this. If I want it, I'll take it. That was my attitude. Selling drugs, stealing copper for a few years out of the price of it. When the government goes to war, the price of raw materials go through the roof, so You look, it's marketing skills. I know it sounds stupid, like some people will be watching this going, what are you talking about? You got to look at what the value's in. This perception people have that you just be a drug dealer. You don't. You're a salesman. You've got to provide for your customers anything they want. And a good salesman, you think back to the days where they had a briefcase, they didn't have one item, they had 20 items. Do you know what I mean? Because you got to cover everything. And there's days where people let you down. You could sell an ounce of coke to somebody and they let you down. Well, how are you paying your supplier? You can't just go, or kid, I haven't got that. If you haven't got that money, you're getting shot. It's the same in the jail. You hustle in the jail too. Do you know, I write poems for other prisoners, charge them a tin of tuna. Do you know, you do hankies, 2 tins of tuna. It's all about turning a profit. You can't be a criminal and just say, oh, I just sell drugs, or I'm just a thief. Anybody that says that's talking shit. Do you know what I mean? If you're a criminal, you're out to get money. There's only one way you turn the crime, and that's for the money. It's all about the money.
The main drug of choice that I would have took a lot would have been coke and grass. I would have took a lot of coke and grass. And it's just, you're looking out the window all the time, obviously thinking that somebody's there, and obviously whenever you have trouble with the police, they're stopping you, they're searching you, you know. Like say I walk up through the town, there's the police, they fly up behind me, and obviously a couple of cars, and they're jumping out the cars, they're grabbing you, they're searching you, and seizing your mobile phone, and it's just, and obviously you get angry with it, you know. You get angry because, like, it's not an everyday occurrence with people, is it? Like walking through the town and obviously 3 or 4 police cars surrounding them. Your house is getting rid of it as well, that's another thing. You have police all over the house, you have police sitting out the back, you have police sitting down the road, you have police watching you. Then obviously the more coke you take, the more paranoid you get then. Then you don't know if you can trust anybody, that's the next thing then. You don't know who you can trust. Because I have done a lot of jail. So I've done a lot of jail. And then there's ones that's just never in jail. Then you get paranoid of them, you're like, here, hold on, I'm doing all this jail, and these ones are never in jail, and then you get paranoid, then more paranoia kicks in. So it does. There's been a lot happening through my life, and it's a lot's built up inside. And it does, it builds up and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up, and there's been a lot happening in my life. There's been a lot, like, you know, and then you can only take so much. And then, obviously, I lashed out, obviously it all built up. And then all that anger came out on your man, which I totally disagree with. I shouldn't have done it, like, so I shouldn't have.
I'm loving it in here at the minute. I have only 12 weeks to go, and it'll fly in, so it will. This place has given me a stability to stabilise myself for getting out. And I have children out there to think of, and I need to be a granny, a proper granny. Not this granny that walks in and out like Santa Claus. It's not happening no more. I'm going to be there for them. Thanks. Okay, Chris. This is my class officer for the day. From I was 25. It's been 31 years coming in and out of prison, because for the simple reason being, when I take a drink, I turn into Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. Shoplifting, prostitution, loads of stuff that was leading me to do. And hurting people, because I was hurting. Hurt people. Me and this so-called friend went to a nightclub. It was happy hour, and we were knocking all sorts of drink indies and stuff. And the next thing, it just snowballed. I went into a rage. I hit her in the head with an ice tray. And when I hit her in the head with an ice tray, my God, it was like a water tap of blood that was coming out of her head. It was awful. I never want to witness that again, of my own doing.
Virtually every prisoner will go back into society. And I remember having a conversation where someone was saying, well, they're there to be punished. And, you know, if you punish them harder, they'll not commit crime. The young lads who had been subject to punishment beatings and punishment shootings. If shooting them and beating them didn't stop them committing or stealing a car, what more could I do? Because I couldn't shoot them or beat them. So, in terms of running a decent prison, in the end of the day, those individuals, if I were to treat them harshly, can view themselves as victims. A prisoner is not a victim.
I worked in all of the prisons, and I was back up in McGalbury prison a short time ago, and I met a person in custody who I'd first met in McGalbury in 1988. It took me a wee while to realise who they were, and I said to them, how long are you back in? And they were back in serving a fairly long sentence again, you know. And they hadn't adapted to society. They hadn't adapted to society's rules and norms. They weren't a career criminal. I wouldn't class them as a career criminal by any class of the imagination. But they were back in custody, and they were back in serving a significant sentence. And they accepted that. You know, they accepted that, you know, that I've been in custody for most of my life, and I'm back in custody again. I have experience of young men here who I have saw coming back into custody maybe twice or three times, and their ambition is to graduate to the big house on the hill, to McGalbury. It holds no fear for them, and they see that, well, if I'm coming back, I'll be over 21, I'll go to McGalbury. And where in many cases they can be a fairly big fish in a small pond at Hyde Bank Wood, they went to McGalbury into a residential unit of 150 or 170 men and found that all of a sudden they're a very small fish in a very large pond.
People in these houses are more settled, but the committal houses would be a bit more unsettled, but more harder for them to deal with. And some people just find it hard to cope with, and then throwing a load of family problems on top, and then boys just blow. I suppose it could be overwhelming for some people, like, but you know, it's It's one of them ones you either get used to it or you don't. I'm in doing 13 years life sentence for a crime that, oh God, I don't even, wait there, come on, stop, wait a second.
Why you're in prison now?
I'm in doing 13 years for murder, for 7 years into my sentence. Went out for a night out and a fight broke out, and as a result of that I got a life sentence for it. A fight broke out in a bar and it got split up and all, and then we stayed in the bar. Then whenever we went home, they started phoning one of my mates, encouraging him up for a fight into the Wallace Park. We went up a road, had a fight with them, got split up, and then they came down and started attacking the house. And just escalated.
So you guys then, the fight started again?
The fight started again at the house. Then somebody lost their life.
How did that happen, Steve?
He was stabbed.
There was like, four of us in a room downstairs, and it was like a house party. We were all down in the bedroom, and he came running in, and he just started shouting and all, and then I was like, calm down. I just kept saying to him, calm down. And then cause I was obviously intoxicated and obviously drugs, then I carried it further, because everything that happened to me through my life, it just all came into my head, and just everything built up inside me, and I just lasted, and that was it. And when I was walking up the hallway, I seen the screwdriver and grabbed it, just not thinking, you know, at the time you're in a rage and you're just... But let me tell you, I'll always think now, so I will. Just there to the neck. I stabbed him to the neck, so it was. Which just right there, just near right near the side, stabbed in the neck. You know, wasn't great, definitely not. That's what happened. I was intoxicated on drugs, and one thing led to another, and then I'm ashamed of it, I'll be honest. Definitely am.
Tell me, during about why you're in now, tell me what happened.
Rash behaviour and a street robbery. And street robbery was just, being in Egypt with full of drugs and looking at an easy couple of quid, you know, and getting into hassle and end up in prison, you know. You feel sorry because they were innocent people, you know, just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and well, there was a couple of us were going short a few quid, and then it led till it was early morning. I think it was about 6:30. We seen people at the hole in the wall on the door and tried to rob them, and took a few quid and went and got drinks straight away. And then it was actually a bank holiday. It was an Easter Monday. The off sales was closed, so we actually went into Tesco's and filled the full trolley up with a drink in there and wheeled that their way too, you know. Just mad.
Tell me about at the ATM. Just tell me what happened.
Just a mad one, you know. People up getting their money, and maybe 2 or 3 of us bounced out and bounced up. We grabbed the people and said, listen, get the money out. Putting a wee bit of pressure on them, you know. Getting a wee bit of scare tactics, you know. You don't get the money out, we're going to buy you kind of thing, you know.
But this woman was assaulted?
No, it's the bag, there was a bag or two. The bag was took off her, stuff like that there. And so there was a bit of a wrestle with a bag. Apparently, she broke one of her wee fingers or something, you know. And the fella that was there too, he got a couple of digs, you know. So it's just a bit harsh. Looking back at it now, you feel bad for it, you know.
So there was violence?
There was violence in it, like, you know. It's not good. I've few kids out there that I don't get seen because of drugs, but not just because of drugs, because of violence too. The cocaine takes over. You become a violent man. I have 2 kids there I haven't seen in over 10 years because of violence and because of drugs. They know their daddy is a nasty big monster. I still had the same mentality as my mother had. All you have to do is put food on the table and pay the bills, and you put clothes in the kids' backs. Not that she done much that, like, but I thought that's what it was all about. So I kept on my crime, kept selling my drugs, kept ducking and diving from paramilitaries, and I lost my family because of it. And I still to this day, I still don't get to see them, and it kills me. I've got 5 kids now and they're a partner, and when I play with them, it's amazing, you know, when I show them my love, but I'm also filled with guilt. And if I could change anything, it would be the one thing I would change. I would have walked away then instead of waiting until now to walk away. That wee girl had a horrible life living with me. A horrible life. It was soul destroying. The lifestyle, it was just drugs, crime, violence. And on several occasions I lifted my hand to her. And I'm ashamed of myself. That's one thing I'm learning on the course now, is about getting rid of guilt, but I don't think I can get rid of it.
Why do you think you were violent in the home?
I asked myself that many times. I asked myself that. I think it was about self-control. I think it was because I felt worthless, and she was so bright and so happy and so cheerful, and I think maybe I was bringing her down onto my level and having control over her. I don't honestly know, but I think that's to be truthful. I think it was all about me having control of every situation. And I didn't have control over her emotions. And I think that's where the violence came in. I suffered mental health problems.
I have to take antidepressants and antipsychotics because I used to self-harm, and it's hard not to. It's very hard not to. For the hurt and the pain that I've caused, you feel guilty. You feel like when you're on these courses, why do I deserve this? Especially when you hear a lot of prisoners have took their lives in here, and you think to yourself, like, that should have been me. Kids that are in for nothing, you hear kids outside hanging themselves. Why is the Lord taking them? Why is he not taking me for all the bad things I've done? So, for all the people we've made suffer, whether it be a small crime or a big crime, people do suffer through our actions, and it's not easy to live with.
I'll not be back to this place. I've had enough. No more. Seen enough of the place to last me a lifetime. Well, my plans are for today, just for today, is to go and get myself a mobile phone, a bite to eat, and fix my room up where I'm going, and have a Chinese tonight. Could you let us out, please? That's the last time I was saying that. Could you let us out? I used to fly in and out of different countries, and I didn't drink. I took the odd San Miguel when I was in Spain. Bye! And I'd took that, and I'd probably sat with that for hours. But something happened in my life. I was raped. And it's neither here nor there at the minute. But I became like all hurt and closed up and full of pain, full of emptiness. You could have drove a bus through the emptiness. And it was bad. It was really bad. But I kept drinking the peace in and the peace out to kill this pain and to kill this emptiness. I'm coming home, I've done my time. My crime got worse after the rape. But you see, I maintain I should have been in a mental institution. I shouldn't have been in prison. I should have been getting treated for what was underlying cause of all this violence. And having said that, my heart stopped twice. 2 weeks ago, I took an overdose because I couldn't stick any more of this place.
People come into prisons with all sorts of problems and all sorts of complications in their lives. And therefore there is a reflection in terms of the challenges that there are in the community and the challenges that there are in prisons, whether it's through mental health issues or whether it's through addictions. Around 49% of those who arrive in prison would indicate to us that they have addiction problems. But prison should never be seen as a dumping ground, out of sight, out of mind. Our entire focus ought to be and should be on rehabilitating those within our care in order that we can make a difference not just to the lives of the individuals but to the communities that they return to.
We are very fortunate in this jurisdiction that there is not a significant injecting culture, there's not a hard drug culture, but certainly there is an over-reliance on prescribed medication, and that addiction that starts for most people at a quite early age, and that hunger and that craving and that drug-seeking behaviour certainly carries through here. However, in custody, when the supply can be erratic in their part, then I suppose in some way it helps to explain why there can be some serious outcomes where if people get it, then they take a lot of it. But sometimes it's not the ones who are the most obvious. It's the ones who are unseen, the ones who, we are unaware of, that are users or have managed to get something that puts themselves in the most danger and really puts us at the point of understandable public criticism whenever something goes wrong.
I was brought up, they always had money off family and all. They didn't like me taking drugs, and they were trying to deal with it at the same time. And then with mum and all not being well, I was putting more pressure on them, and then I was arguing with brothers and sisters over it and all, and they're trying to tell you, what about the family and all, you're not worrying about that there. And then it starts more arguments. You're saying to yourself, you are worrying about the family, but really, you weren't at the time. It was just, where am I getting my next hit? That was the main thing, And then when I started to come off them, you had bad signs and all. I ended up in Hollywell in the mental hospital and all for coming off a load of tablets and all, because my head went and all you could think of was suicide. And then when you come to prison, you don't realise how lucky you are outside with the freedom. You think, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say prison's hard, it's easy enough, but it's a wee stupid things like a couple of wee nephews being born and stuff like that there. And it just breaks your heart in here, To be honest, when I got out of Haybank the last time, the first day I got out, I went straight back to what I was doing. I think it's just this time, I'm getting older, starting to wise up a wee bit, It's just certain things family members have said. Tell me, like, you come back out and you do the same thing again. We're not going to stand by you this time. You can do it on your own. You don't want to lose family over fucking out getting a couple of quid or out getting yourself a hit, I'm only 23 and I've spent more than 6 years in prison. Just shows you from the age 17 just being in prison.
So, you confirm your name and number for me?
H5009.
Right, parents are getting licensed today?
Yep.
Okay, you've probably heard your license conditions over the last couple of days.
Yep.
I'll just go back over with them now for you.
Yep, no problem.
So, under the provisions of Article 17 of the Criminal Justice Order, your supervision commences today and expires on the 12th of the 12th, 2018. You'll be under the supervision of a assigned probation officer and must comply with the conditions of this license. The objectives of the supervision are to protect the public, prevent reoffending, and achieve your successful rehabilitation. On release, you must report directly to the probation officer, and that's at 4 o'clock today. You must submit to drug and alcohol testing as agreed with your probation officer. In accordance with Article 24.4 of the order,
What did you say, drug and alcohol test?
drug and alcohol testing is agreed with your probation officer.
They told me to lift the drug test one.
It's there at the moment. My advice to you.
The dream was fancy car, fancy lifestyle. That was the dream. I had a fancy lifestyle. That was the dream, you know, become big. But I never became big. I always went to jail. So I always end up in here, in prison. I was walking down the road with my son and he says, look, Daddy, when he come back down and see me and all that, he says, look, Daddy has to go to work soon because he's only 7 and he doesn't really understand. I don't want him seeing me in prison and stuff. Still keeping phone contact with him. But I said, Daddy has to go away to work. And he goes, no, Daddy, I don't want you to go away to work. I don't like it. To be quite honest, whenever I left him off at his mother's house, I walked away and I'm not lying, tears came to my eyes like it did. You know what I mean? Because I'm leaving my son and I didn't know what the impact of the case was going to be. You know? I didn't know what, you know, I was thinking, still think 4 years is a long time because that's 4 years of my life and 4 years of my son's life. But also I had to think about what I'd done, you know, I shouldn't have done what I'd done. So I shouldn't have.
You couldn't give me nothing and all in this world they compare to my son. I love him to bits, like, you know, but me coming in here is not right. It's not fair on him and it's not fair on myself, but I've only myself to blame, you know, so I have. So it's my time now for me to get out now and get a new start, get myself a nice wee apartment or a house, do my driving test, and it means I can go and take them days out and stuff. It's time to change my life around, so it is, you know.
It can be done. There was no point in sitting saying, I'll think about doing it. You can do it. Just getting up and doing it and just staying out of prison, and that's the way it's going to be. I just don't want to come back here no more. I'm actually tired of it. I'm sick of it.
That's me, lad. Thanks very much, hey. All right, hey. No bother. All right.
Sick of jail. Sick of the lifestyle. I'm sick of it.
Grew up a lot in here, you know, and I think outside I was very immature and just didn't think things through, and now I've definitely grew up a bit in here. All I want is my 2 boys around me. You know what I mean? Everything else just doesn't matter. Well, one of them knows nothing. One of them knows just a wee bit. He asked me about it in a visit, and I told him he was too young, and I would explain to him when he's old enough to deal with it. But I don't know where it was. Somebody put it into his head to ask, because I was a bit taken back by it. I thought he was a bit too young to be asking the question he got. Send cards out, but it's all you can do in here, and that, you know what I mean? It's not like you can be there for them.
Family life's amazing. I have a wonderful partner. I never ever thought I'd have kids again. I have 5 amazing kids. To be truthful, I'm glad I came to jail. I know you might think that's strange, why would he be glad to come to jail? Because it was a breaking point for me. I needed this. And I was still taking drugs on up until I came to jail. You know, I had everybody convinced I wasn't, but I was. It was a lot better lifestyle. I wasn't selling, I wasn't doing this, that and the other, but it was a lot better lifestyle than what I had for my other kids. And but my kids were amazing. I'm doing this for me, but for my kids. I'm changing myself. I've tried before to change it for the kids. It doesn't work. I need to change it because I want to change.
Do you worry that your children could be tempted or be led by what they know of your life and follow your example?
Scares the life out of me, because when I was involved in drugs, I was the sort of person would have pulled kids in and got them, made them feel great, and basically picked on the ones that was like me. You know, you can see boys like me in the crowd, and you make them feel loved, and then you get them selling drugs, and it does scare me. It scares the life out of me that my kids or anybody else's kids would ever go through this life, because it's not a life. I'm going to change. I am going to change, I have changed. With the help of the, thought it never says, but with the help of the prison service, my life has changed. I'm drug free. Drug free, them two words